The hidden spiritual meaning of Christmas few understand. Christmas is celebrated across the world with lights, gifts, songs, decorations, and joyful gatherings. Yet behind all the visible beauty lies a far deeper spiritual meaning that very few truly understand. For many, Christmas has become a season of celebration on the surface, but in its essence, it is a divine invitation, an inner calling for spiritual rebirth, awakening, and transformation. Christmas is not merely about the birth of Jesus in a manger. It is about the birth of divine consciousness within the human soul. It is a reminder that God does not come only in grand palaces or through powerful rulers, but quietly, humbly, and silently. Just as true spiritual awakening happens within us. The hidden meaning of Christmas begins with humility. Jesus was born, not in a royal home, but in a stable, surrounded by animals, simplicity, and silence. Spiritually, this symbolizes that divine truth is not found in ego, pride, or worldly status. It is found in humility, surrender, and a pure heart. When the ego steps aside, the soul becomes a manger where divine light can be born. Few understand that Christmas is a message about inner light conquering inner darkness. The world during Jesus' birth was filled with fear, oppression, and spiritual blindness. Similarly, the modern world is filled with anxiety, material obsession, comparison, and emotional emptiness. Christmas arrives every year to remind humanity that light is always born in the darkest season. December is cold, nights are long, and nature appears lifeless. Yet, it is precisely at this time that Christmas comes. Spiritually, this teaches that when your life feels cold, dark, and hopeless, that is often the moment when divine grace is closest to you. God enters the human story when humanity reaches its lowest point. The birth of Christ is not just history, it is a living spiritual pattern. Whenever a soul chooses love over fear, forgiveness over anger, and faith over despair, Christ is born again within that soul. Another hidden spiritual truth of Christmas is sacrifice. Jesus was born with a divine mission to serve, to heal, to teach, and ultimately to sacrifice himself for the awakening of humanity. Christmas reminds us that true love is not selfish. It gives without expecting anything in return. While the world focuses on receiving gifts, the spiritual meaning of Christmas calls us to become the gift. To give kindness where there is cruelty, compassion where there is judgment, and hope where there is despair. The greatest gift of Christmas is not something wrapped in paper. It is a transformed heart. Few realize that every act of love done in silence carries more spiritual power than the loudest celebrations. Christmas also reveals the mystery of divine timing. The Savior did not arrive when the world expected him, nor in the way people imagined. Many were waiting for a powerful king, but God sent a helpless child. Spiritually, this teaches us that divine answers often come in unexpected forms. What you see as weakness may be strength in disguise. What appears delayed may be perfectly timed. Christmas invites us to trust God's plan, even when it does not match our expectations. Faith grows not when everything makes sense, but when we choose to believe even in uncertainty. The hidden meaning of Christmas is also about spiritual awakening for the chosen few. The shepherds, simple and humble, were the first to receive the divine message. The wise men, guided by a star, recognized the sacred signs and followed them, despite long journeys and uncertainty. Spiritually, this represents two kinds of awakened souls: those with pure hearts and those with spiritual wisdom. Not everyone recognized the Messiah, just as not everyone recognizes truth today. Many are too busy, too distracted, or too attached to the material world. Christmas teaches that divine truth is revealed only to those who are spiritually receptive. The star still appears, but only those willing to look up will see it. At its core, Christmas is a call to inner peace. Jesus came as the Prince of Peace, not to create external power structures, but to transform hearts. True peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of God within. The world searches for peace through control, wealth, and dominance. But Christmas reveals that peace is born through love, forgiveness, and surrender. When the heart aligns with divine love, outer circumstances lose their power to disturb inner stillness. This is why Christmas carols speak of peace on earth, not as a political promise, but as a spiritual state. Another deeply hidden spiritual meaning of Christmas is divine identification with human suffering. God did not remain distant. He entered human life, experienced pain, hunger, rejection, and loss. This reveals a powerful spiritual truth. You are never alone in your suffering. Whatever pain you carry, God understands it intimately. Christmas whispers to every broken heart that divine love does not judge your wounds. It enters them to heal. Few understand that Christmas is God saying, I am with you, not only in joy, but in pain. Christmas also symbolizes spiritual rebirth. Just as Jesus' birth marked a new chapter for humanity, Christmas invites each soul to begin again. It is a reminder that no matter how broken the past, transformation is always possible. Spiritually, Christmas is an invitation to release old burdens, forgive old wounds, and allow divine light to renew the soul. This rebirth does not require perfection. It requires openness. Even the manger was imperfect, yet it became holy because divine presence rested there. Likewise, your imperfect life can become sacred when you allow love to dwell within it. Few realize that Christmas is a mirror. It reflects the condition of the human heart. For some, it brings joy. For others, loneliness. For some, gratitude. For others, pain. Spiritually, this reveals what still needs healing within us. Christmas amplifies emotions because it invites us to face our inner truth. Instead of avoiding these feelings, the deeper meaning of Christmas encourages us to bring them to God. Healing begins when we stop pretending and start surrendering. The hidden spiritual meaning of Christmas also reminds us of unity. Jesus did not come for one group, one nation, or one religion. He came for humanity. Christmas transcends boundaries and divisions. It reminds us that love has no borders and truth cannot be owned by any single identity. In a world divided by ego, belief systems, and power struggles, Christmas calls us back to our shared divine origin. At the soul level, we are all children of the same divine source. Ultimately, Christmas is not about one day. It is about a way of living. It asks us, can you carry the Spirit of Christ beyond December? Can you choose love when it is hard, forgive when it hurts, and trust when the path is unclear? The true celebration of Christmas is not found in decorations or rituals, but in daily acts of compassion, humility, and faith. When these qualities become a way of life, Christmas becomes eternal. The hidden spiritual meaning of Christmas few understand is this: God is not distant, love is not weak, and light is never defeated by darkness. Christmas is the eternal reminder that divine light chooses the human heart as its home. And every time a soul chooses love over fear, Christ is born again. Few people realize that Christmas is also a test of spiritual awareness. Every year, the world is given the same sacred reminder, yet only a small number truly receive its message at the soul level. Many celebrate the event, but few embody its meaning. Spiritually, Christmas separates those who merely observe from those who awaken. It asks a silent question. Has the birth of divine love changed the way you live? If not, pause. Then, Christmas remains an outer ritual instead of an inner transformation. True spirituality is not proven by celebration, but by alignment. How deeply love has reshaped your thoughts, words, and actions. Parenthetical. Another hidden layer of Christmas is the mystery of silence. The birth of Jesus did not happen amid noise, announcements, or applause. It happened in stillness. This reveals a powerful spiritual truth. God speaks most clearly in silence. In the modern world, noise dominates. Social media, opinions, arguments, and endless distractions. Christmas gently pulls the soul back into stillness, reminding us that divine guidance is not found in chaos, but in quiet surrender. Those who truly understand Christmas learn to value silence, prayer, and inner listening more than outward expression. Christmas also carries the spiritual message of spiritual innocence. Jesus said that one must become like a child to enter the kingdom of God. A child represents purity of heart, trust, curiosity, and openness. Christmas invites the soul to return to innocence, not ignorance, but purity. Over time, the world hardens the heart with fear, betrayal, and disappointment. Christmas whispers that healing begins when we allow the heart to soften again. Forgiveness becomes possible, hope returns, and faith is restored when innocence is reborn within. There is also a hidden message of spiritual courage in Christmas. The story of Mary teaches surrender to divine will despite fear and uncertainty. Joseph teaches obedience and trust, even when circumstances are confusing. The wise men teach perseverance on a long and uncertain journey, guided only by faith. Christmas reminds us that spiritual paths are rarely easy or logical. They demand courage to trust God beyond reason, to walk forward without full clarity. Few understand that Christmas honors not comfort, but courage rooted in faith. Another rarely understood meaning of Christmas is divine interruption. The birth of Jesus disrupted political systems, religious structures, and personal lives. Spiritually, Christmas symbolizes moments when God interrupts our plans to realign us with our true purpose. Sometimes what feels like chaos, loss, or delay is actually divine redirection. Christmas teaches us that God's plan may disrupt comfort, but always leads toward truth. Resistance causes suffering, but surrender leads to peace. Christmas also exposes the illusion of power. King Herod feared the birth of a child because earthly power is always threatened by divine truth. Spiritually, this reveals that ego fears awakening. When divine love rises within, false identities begin to crumble. The ego resists humility, forgiveness, and surrender because it knows its dominance is ending. Christmas is not gentle for the ego. It is a spiritual revolution. But for the soul, it is liberation. Few people understand that Christmas is deeply connected to suffering, not to glorify pain, but to redeem it. Jesus was born into a world that would eventually reject him. Love entered knowing it would be wounded. This teaches a profound truth. Love is not afraid of pain. True love chooses to enter suffering, to heal it from within. Christmas invites us to stop running from pain and instead allow divine love to transform it into wisdom, compassion, and strength. Another hidden truth of Christmas is spiritual responsibility. Once light is revealed, responsibility follows. The shepherds did not return unchanged. They became witnesses. The wise men did not go back the same way. They chose a new path. Spiritually, when divine truth touches your heart, you cannot live the same life anymore. Christmas is not just comfort. It is calling. It invites the awakened soul to live differently, to speak truth gently, to love bravely, and to walk humbly. Christmas also represents divine equality. God came as a vulnerable child, needing care, protection, and love. This reveals that no soul is above another. True divinity expresses itself through humility, not dominance. In a world obsessed with hierarchy and superiority, Christmas reminds us that greatness is measured by love, not power. The more spiritually evolved a soul becomes, the more compassionate and humble it grows. Another deeply hidden meaning of Christmas is remembrance. It reminds the soul of its divine origin. Beneath identity, nationality, religion, and roles, the soul carries divine light. Christmas awakens this memory. It is not about becoming something new, but remembering who you truly are. Many feel emotional during Christmas, without knowing why. It is the soul recognizing its source. Christmas is also a promise. Promise that darkness never has the final word, that love always finds a way, that even when the world appears broken, divine light is quietly working. This is why Christmas has endured across centuries. It carries eternal truth, not temporary comfort. Ultimately, the hidden spiritual meaning of Christmas is incarnation, the divine becoming human, so the human can remember the divine. It teaches that spirituality is not about escaping the world, but transforming it through love. God did not take humanity away from suffering. He entered it to redeem it. Very few understand this, because it requires inner awakening, not outer belief. Christmas is not meant to be understood by the mind alone, but felt by the soul. And when it is truly understood, Christmas stops being a season. It becomes a state of being. When love becomes your nature, humility your strength, forgiveness your language, and faith your foundation, then Christmas is no longer a date on the calendar. Then Christmas is born within you.